The code, of course, asks for, or says the sign can be up to 50 square feet in area. Did you try to look at what a 50 square foot sign would look like?
Well, I did, but because Determined Fitness is occupying this entire building, which is pretty big.
Right.
And if you take in consideration like this, the plaza next door, which is Canterbury, each one of those tenants is allowed a 50 square foot sign. So you multiply that, and that's like 500 square feet of signage on that building. And Determined Fitness occupying the entire building is only getting 70 square feet of signage. It just didn't aesthetically look. It looked like it was too small. I've seen I don't know if you drive through LaGrange at all, but there's a Dunkin' Donuts out there, and I laugh every time I go by it. Way up high, there's like a little, it looks like it's 2 square feet in size. It's almost ridiculous why they even put it up there. But I'm not trying to go nuts on it and go with 100 square feet or 200 square foot sign. We're trying to make it look aesthetically pleasing to that frontage, the actual fabrication of that structure. But the 50 square foot sign it looked off. So aesthetically, to my years and years and years of experience in the sign business, I feel that this looks appropriate for this size structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Larry, any questions?
No questions.
Paul?
The entire building is going to be utilized solely by Determined Fitness?
I can't say that, but they do have the entire bottom of the store, of the building, and they occupy quite a few upstairs. I just didn't know if they occupy everything upstairs.
And there's a pylon sign also?
Yeah, there's an existing pylon, sure.
They intend to utilize, or that is being utilized, right?
They have a top panel in there, I believe, yeah.
And the facade is built solely to hold the sign, or is it there's some architectural purpose for it?
I'm sorry, again?
The facade that's just put up to really.
Well, it's actually to make the structure look, kind of more inviting, to let people know that this is the main entrance kind of thing. So it's, I guess that's the reason why they went to do that, because the building is kind of a dated looking building. They're trying to upgrade it to make it look, more with the times.
And the emblem, is that particularly necessary?
It's their branding, the
Is this
DF. Their branding, that's their logo. So I really, is that the circle is an issue?
I'm just asking about.
Oh, okay. That's really their branding, I guess. Would you prefer to see like individual letters instead of the circle?
That's
No
what,
letters.
16 square feet?
Yeah.
Nope, that's all I have.
Is this part of a chain, or is this a single
No, it's a single business, yeah.
business?
Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony?
No, I have no questions.
Carmen?
You're right. The building is large, and I think we do need a substantial sign for the proportions. So I don't really have a problem with the size.
Okay. Any further questions? Anyone from the audience wish to address the application at 668 Duchess Turnpike? Okay, seeing none, a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, Verizon, 661 Duchess Turnpike. Down the street. Okay.
county have any input on?
The only one is actually on this one, and I'll introduce that in a minute. Everything else came back, local concern. Yeah. Okay, good evening. If each of you just state your name and be sworn in.
Sure. My name is John Morrison.
My name is Luke Fletcher.
You swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, nice looking new building there, or at least massively remodeled. So, want to tell us a little bit about your signage requests?
Sure. So as you know, the building is up and the main sign is on the front of the building facing Dutchess Turnpike. The way the building is situated on the property, it's actually angled a little bit so that if you're traveling with the building on your right, it's kind of pitched away from you. And what makes this building unique compared to many is that there's actually the two roads at the intersection. So the side of the building that is.
Let's see, if you could, see if that portable mic.
This one?
Yeah, if you can turn that, to pull it out, it should, yeah, and let's see if it works.
Looks like it does?
Yep. Very good, thank you.
So on this elevation here, that faces the Goodyear across the street, this is the side of the building that all the traffic that's coming from like the rear entrance of the Kmart down the road to the intersection and coming out of the credit union and the Goodyear tire store would drive right by here. And literally, because of the way the angle of the building is situated, you can't even tell what's in that building until you're well past it. Also, the traffic that's coming over the bridge with the building up on the right-hand side is seeing this whole elevation of it, but it looks like a vacant store. So, and I know that it's a little tricky. The first time I went to the store was about 2 weeks ago to take these pictures. I actually went by it, and once you see where the building is, it's not an easy way to get back in. If you know the terrain, you could take a right and go through the Kmart parking lot around. But if you don't, you've got to go way down, and you end up on a highway, going out of town.
Yeah.
So it's a unique situation.
Right. Okay, so as I understand,
stopped short, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you were looking for a total of 3 signs, correct?
That's correct. So that's this elevation here, which would be sign B on the drawings that were submitted. And then the left-hand side of the building here, this is visible coming the other direction on the road, where this sign is also visible as you get closer to it. The trick with that is by the time you can see this sign, you've missed the opportunity to turn in before the property into the parking lot that goes in behind the restaurant and towards the Kmart. This elevation also gives us good visibility to the Kmart parking lot in hopes of that property ending up filled with retail customers again one day.
Okay.
Because otherwise, looking from the back, it's the opposite two sides of this, but from the Kmart side, you basically see this, you see 2 blank walls and no indication of what's in the building.
Okay. As you may know, for many applications, we're required to send them to the county and the county planning department, and they have an opportunity to comment. So in this case, they've responded with what they call conditional comments. And let me read this into the record and give you an opportunity to respond. Sure. It's to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the submitted referral for countywide and intermunicipal impacts as outlined in general municipal law. Action. The applicant is seeking area variances to permit 2 additional wall signs where only one is permitted by code. The property is located within the shopping center business BSC district. Comments. The existing building is located on the north side of Dutchess Turnpike / Route 44, facing the highway. As such, the existing sign on the south elevation of the building, sign A, provides adequate visibility to traffic along Dutchess Turnpike. The proposed sign for the east elevation, sign B, would be visible to traffic along Burnett Boulevard as well as traffic westbound along Dutchess Turnpike. The proposed sign for the west elevation, sign C, would only be visible to eastbound traffic on Dutchess Turnpike where no left turn capability to access the site exists. While we do not oppose the variance for the east elevation of the building, sign B, the sign proposal for the west elevation, sign C, appears to be unnecessary. Recommendation. New York State directs that the board only grant the minimum amount of variance necessary. For the reasons stated above, we recommend the board deny the request for sign C on the west elevation of the building. Voting and reporting requirement. If the board acts contrary to our recommendation, the law requires that it do so by a majority plus one of the full membership of the board and that it notify us of the reasons for its decision. Owen Rafter, Commissioner, signed by Janet Tessier, Junior Planner. Okay, so basically they're saying, they're recommending that we allow one sign on the east side, but not the other one.
Right. So sign B is clearly the more important sign for us here. And so, I operate the Verizon stores in upstate New York. And so this location's been great for us. A lot of people have issues finding us, and wireless sales is a little bit different in that people go where they know that there's a store when their phone breaks. And so for years, people have been having to go all the way across town. And so with this location, just because of the signage situation, it's been a little bit harder to find. And so sign B is definitely the one that's a priority for us. And if the board were to give us sign B and not sign C, that would be completely acceptable on our side. So we still would like to see both, but obviously sign B is the priority, so.
Okay, thank you. Christine?
Yeah, that was my question about sign C, because we also noticed when we visited the site that there were even some trees sort of that would seem to obscure that left side, so I wondered if that would really be helpful.
Okay, so sign B is the more prominent, and especially coming over the bridge, that flow of traffic, again, is, when you're coming over the bridge, you can have the time to slow down to turn in. But sign C is very obstructed, I would agree, so it would almost be just to the Kmart parking lot virtually, so.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, sign C is obstructed to the eastbound traffic without question. I look at the investment that Verizon made in the store and in the community, and because it really only faces the parking lot, and if you're in the parking lot, the other direction doesn't look that hot right now. I would think that it would be. It just looks like it's occupied, from that side right now. I mean, the whole building, they didn't just reface the side that faces the road. They refaced the building all the way around. But I think it would look nice with a brand there, and I think they'd certainly benefit from it, with customers being able to patronize the store on their way out.
Okay, let's see, there are no windows on the west side, correct?
I believe you're correct, yes.
There is not.
There's
There were
not.
plans to put them in, and I actually pulled them out at the last second, so there is not.
Okay. Okay, Christine, do you have any other?
That's all.
Okay, Art?
Are you on the Planet Wings pylon sign?
There is no sign that's been taken down, so we're not asking for a pylon, and that pylon's been removed, so.
And it's going to stay down? No intention.
Yes.
I have to agree with the county on this one, that C sign, and agree with the gentleman, that's I think it's absolutely useless. I mean, business is slow right now, but I don't think anybody knows you're really there yet. You've been open, what, a month and a half?
Month and a half. Yes, sir.
I think it's kind of early yet to.
Yeah, but for me, it's that Valvoline.
It blocks everything. Yeah.
You don't see a thing until,
I would have to only go with 2 signs if we're looking for unanimous.
yeah,
vote.
yeah.
Not gonna happen.
I mean, I have no problem with the one on the east side. I think you need it. I would just remind you that on that side as well, the code allows signs in the window up to a certain size, and a couple of, they don't even have to be very large, but makes it clear that you're open. I think there's quite a bit that you can do there. But the building as a whole looks so much better than what was there before. So I think you're off to a good start there. Larry, any questions?
No questions.
Paul?
I have a question for Lisa regarding the pylon. Is there there was an order to remedy, was that simply because Planet Wings no longer occupies the building?
I don't know. I would suspect, I know there is a provision in the code that says when the tenant's no longer there, signs referencing that business have to come down. So that would be my guess, but I don't know why it's there, why the order to remedy was issued.
So we're still entitled to write as a pylon sign. Can we condition, if we were to grant an additional sign, that there not be a pylon sign? Problem down the road.
I don't believe so. That if you wanted to make a condition that there would be no pylon sign on the property, the concern would be, I guess, if there were other tenants, because the original pylon sign was a multi-tenant sign?
I believe so.
No, it's only.
No?
No.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
Planet Wings.
There was a plan to have both Verizon and Planet Wings, I thought, but
Yeah, or two businesses of some kind, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's plans potentially in the future that he was thinking about coming to see if he could add off the back of our building. So we actually put nothing important off the back of our building in lieu of that. Obviously, he would have to go through approvals, and then he would subsequently have to be sitting here talking about signage. But as far as a pylon for us, we are not interested in having one ever, so we would obviously be fine with that on our end, so.
who owns the building?
Franco does with Planet Wings. Yes.
So you just have
A lease with him, yes. Yep.
So to that end, I'm not sure that the board could consider this, since they have owner consent for the current application, but I'm sure they wouldn't have owner consent to deal with all signage on the property.
Okay. That's all.
Tony?
No questions.
Carmen?
Okay. When we were over there, we drove through the shopping center too, to look at how the sign would look on the west side. And between the trees and the other business there, I'm not even sure that the sign would help. It may be really beneficial for you. But your sign in the front is very clear, and very prominent. And then the one on the east side is great.
It'll be a big help for sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the county as well, that you really don't need that other one, and it might not be helpful.
Okay, so that we're all clear here, I'm hearing there's a consensus among the board that we should approve the sign on the east side, but not on the west side. Is that?
The B sign.
B sign.
Right. Okay, so that's, okay, all right. So if there are no other questions from the board, anyone in the audience wish to address 661 Dutchess Turnpike? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item 7, Mail and Company, 48 Vassar Road. Good evening. Hey. Did I pronounce that? Is it Mel? Mail?
Mel.
Mel.
Mel, yes.
Okay. If we were in Germany, it would be Mail.
If you were in Germany, it would have been perfectly correct. That's why I don't even bother.
Okay.
It's the owner's fault for. Yeah.
Okay, so if you'd each state your name and be sworn in.
Brittany Maddock.
Thank you.
Jessica McEwen.
You swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
I do.
Okay, so you have recently taken over what used to be Chase Bank branch,
Correct.
and so if you'd explain why you need the variances.
We were informed after purchasing the building and making all the plans that we are not allowed any signage over our main entrance, as the signage must be facing the road directly. However, if you'll look at the images, the way the building is positioned, the main entrance does still face the main road. As well, the prior Chase did have the sign over the main entrance, and we have verified that they never applied for any variance for that. So, we're just asking for it to be made easy for our customers to recognize where the main entrance of the building is.
Right. I think in fairness, there has been a change in the code probably since Chase went in there. And in fact, in the printed code book, it's still the older version. There's the online one specifies that a sign is permitted facing a public highway. That's relatively new language. You're dealing with a slightly different requirement than Chase did. So, okay, all right. Okay, just so that I understand, you're looking for a freestanding sign that's on the old concrete pedestal that Chase had.
There's a footing and electric run there currently that we'd like to reuse for a new monument.
Okay, I'll have to take your word for that. When we were out there,
There's pictures of the street view where the sign was that Chase had, so there's a concrete footing and there's still electric run.
okay.
But yes, it's covered under piles of snow right now.
Okay. And so you want to put up your own sign? Okay. And you've asked for a variance to allow it to be 5 feet from the property line along the highway, the road, where 10 feet is required.
Yes,
But it's the same place that Chase had.
exactly.
Okay. The code says that freestanding sign can be no more than 50 square feet. Okay, what dimensions do you propose? I didn't see that.
We're still working on the design for that, but it's not going to be any more than 36 inches wide by probably 120 high, so 3 foot by 10 foot at max.
Oh, so a relatively
We
low.
want it to be. We actually want it to be almost the exact same thing that Chase had.
Yes.
Take up a very narrow space just with the logo and the name on there. We're just working on the specs right now.
Okay, but it would be less than the 50 square feet?
Yes.
Okay. And then you want a wall sign of 45 square feet over the main entrance.
Correct.
Which does not face a public road?
Correct.
Okay. And then you would like a second wall sign, also 45 square feet, that would be on the wall that faces the road, Vassar Road.
Yeah, it was our intention that we would prefer the pylon and the sign over the main entrance, but should you not allow the pylon and the sign over the main entrance, we would ask that we be allowed the two signage, as it's difficult to see the sign depending upon what direction you're coming in on that road. And it is a one-way, a very wide one-way from where you enter to where you exit. And unfortunately, we're on the exit side.
Okay, okay. The only other thing I would note in the application, the directions got rotated by about 90 degrees. Your front door faces north, and I think in the application it talks about it facing east. But Vassar Road in that area actually runs north-south. And so the front door is facing north. The side facing the road is actually facing east.
Okay.
So those got rotated. Okay, again.
Dyslexic, so that's probably my fault.
It doesn't affect the application, but again, just people reading this might kind of go, huh? Okay, never mind. Christine, any questions?
So I see the sign over the entrance, that makes sense. But if you have a sign on the pylon, it seems that if you have a third sign facing Vassar Road,
We
that would
wouldn't
be-
ask for the third
Okay.
sign. We just, we put the third sign in the case scenario, you would not allow us to keep the pylon.
Okay, no questions, no more questions.
Okay, Art?
Are you gonna keep the blue wall is block, isn't it? It's solid wall, it's not glass.
It's solid.
It's solid,
You're gonna
yes.
keep it solid, you're not gonna put glass?
No, we
It's
have
not
no,
gonna be-
yeah, no,
You're not
we
gonna
have no
convert that
intent.
over?
No,
That's too bad, because you could have put the name on that.
We actually talked about that, but it's a little bit out of the
Little
budget right now for
expensive,
signage.
That's it.
goes over the maximum signage we're allowed if we do the whole wall.
Not if you put it on the glass, is it?
Oh, yeah, unfortunately,
25%.
structurally,
Yeah,
that
before.
has to stay brick. That's brick behind it. That's solid brick.
Wow.
And you're saying you could live with the one over the door preferably and the pylon?
Yes.
Okay, I'm good.
Larry?
No question.
Paul?
What's the nature of your business? And how many
Oh, I
customers?
do have a question.
Well, we are a CPA firm,
That
full
be above the
service.
roof line?
During
Can that be above the
our
roof?
peak time, we generally have about 20 clients through the door on a daily basis, including weekends as well. We're open until 6 p.m., 6:30 at night, Saturdays from 8:30 till 2. So we're getting a significant amount of foot traffic for returns.
And what's your catchment area?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your catchment area, where are people coming from?
People are coming as far as Kingston area, and as far down as Mayapack.
Okay. That's all.
Tony?
I have no questions.
Carmen?
No questions.
Jim, I do have another
Yeah,
question.
sure.
And I don't know, maybe Lisa. Do we have a concern that the sign is above the roof line? I thought we couldn't have a sign go above a line. Before we, I thought they had to stop at the roof.
Yeah, there is a requirement that it not be,
Sandy and I actually already talked about that a while ago, just for mock-up purposes to show the full sign. That's how it was put in print. I'm short and I couldn't get a good picture close enough to see above that small roof, so we know it has to be below the roof line.
Okay.
okay.
So that'll make the sign
Yeah,
significantly smaller.
yeah, the
No,
chase,
there's actually enough room.
It's
We
the
measured.
angle.
It's just the angle
It's
that
the
the
angle
photo
that-
was taken at.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, because she was standing close to it.
From that small roof to the roof line is 40 inches, so it'll fit perfectly right in there.
The sign that's there, that's the same sign?
Well, there's the sign, there is no sign there right
Like a
now.
mock-up or something?
There's,
Yeah.
and there's a
Which is
temporary, we
Yeah.
applied for a temporary banner, which is hanging in the same spot currently.
And that will be the
Both
same
above the roof
size?
line.
Yep.
Because that one doesn't.
They're both
Okay.
above the
No,
roof
that's the
line.
same,
No.
it's the same size as the
Yeah.
banner.
So you're saying that one is not what we're gonna see? We're
It's
not gonna
gonna
see
be-
this?
it's not gonna be
it's
above
gonna
the roof
flush with
line.
the top of the?
Yep, it's gonna be flush with that.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And that was also true for the chase sign. It was
Well, I just-
even with the.
That's fine, but I
Yeah,
just
just
wanna
went
make
to
sure
the
that we-
top.
No,
Note that.
good catch. Okay, so, again, so we kind of all on the same page here. My sense of the board is that we would approve the sign over the front door and the pylon sign.
I have an issue with that.
You have an issue with that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anyone else?
I'm good.
That's
Okay.
not,
That's okay, that's okay. Like Betty always says, that's why there's 7 of us. Okay, so, but again, you're kind of one or the other. Okay,
Either the pylon and the front door sign
or the one facing the road.
facing the road. Again, we feel the pylon and the front door sign based on the traffic flow and the direction of the traffic and the fact that the parking lot is a one-way, it would be much more beneficial and easier. We do have heavy traffic amounts in the afternoon, and it can make it very hard to make a turnaround. So if you've gotten to us and missed us because the sign is over here and you've passed it, it makes it very difficult to turn around and could cause some serious issues.
Okay, I did that when we were out on our field trip. Went past and had to kind of come around from behind.
Yeah.
Okay, all
I
right.
do have one more question, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If the base of the pylon had to be moved 5 foot into the parking lot, do you have any idea about the cost of that?
We'd have to have the parking lot tore up to have the electric rerun, so I'm not really sure what cost would be right now. I would actually have to contact an electrician and an excavator to handle that for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions from the board, is there anyone in the audience wishes to address 48 Vassar Road? Seeing none, is it motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Coozles? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Item number 8, Poughkeepsie Plaza Mall, 2586 to 2600 South Road.
What do you think is going in there? What do you think is going in there?
Okay, if you would each identify yourselves and be sworn in.
My name's Jay Deasing. I'm with Maury Architects.
Robert Malik, one of the principals.
You swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true, and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Pardon me?
Swear.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, so if you would just explain a little bit about this project.
Sure. So Poughkeepsie Plaza Mall is, we just went through the planning board process, and we're taking a section of the mall at the north end, and this section is going to be what they call demalled, so it'll be disconnected from the covered mall area, and this is going to be converted into a large anchor tenant space, and this tenant is going to, they operate as one entity, but they have kind of 2 separate themes of their store. So they're looking to almost maintain 2 separate stores. They'll be open on the inside, but they're each going to have a separate storefront and entrance from the outside of the building. This is kind of a rendering of what that exterior will look like. So this is the one entrance for the one brand, and then this is the second entrance for the other brand. And then your sign code only permits 1 sign per business or per store. So being that they're open on the interior, even though they're kind of separate brands, we're requesting a variance to have 2 signs for this store.
It's a secret.
So the each one will have their own separate store and a separate entrance, and they would be the 100 square foot max that would be permitted by code.
Okay, Christine?
No questions right now.
All right,
Did you say they were both going to be 50 square foot signs?
100.
Both going to be 100?
Yes.
Right, yeah.
And that frontage is not, none of that's the existing mall?
For the project, the entire face of the mall is going to receive a new facade.
Right.
So you've probably noticed that on the very north end where Modell's is, that section was redone, and that theme is going to be carried down the entire length down to Marshall's all the way down.
Right.
So this section right here, from here down, is the 45,000 roughly square feet that's going to be occupied by this tenant, and it goes to about the middle of the existing mall.
Right.
So that's just that piece of the storefront. So that's roughly 250 linear feet of frontage there. So having two main storefront entrances and two signs really seems appropriate for the length of that building, or that section of the building. I would note that we're, in doing this, we're eliminating probably about a dozen smaller tenant signs, and they're being condensed into just these two signs. So it does an overall reduction in signage area for that space and in the quantity as well.
Okay, thank you.
So even though the stores are interconnected, in some sense, they're still two stores.
They're selling two
Correct.
different types of goods. They're just open on the interior between them, and they are operated by one entity.
Would there be like two different checkout areas then?
The checkout area, I believe, is combined in the center, but each side feeds into that one checkout area.
Okay. And these are currently existing companies?
It's a national brand. Unfortunately,
okay.
I can't say now who it is because they're still finalizing lease negotiations, but they're national companies, retail companies.
Okay. Larry?
No questions.
Paul?
The county didn't have any input?
A local concern.
Really?
Okay.
Wow. You lucked out on that one.
No questions.
Okay. Carmen?
Amazing.
So you can't tell us the name of the store.
I heard the secret comment over there a few minutes ago. No, we can't. Unfortunately, we can't say yet. I think soon it'll be public knowledge, but for the time being, they still want to keep it confidential. So I'm sorry.
So there's the two stores, are they owned by the one company?
Yep, but they have two separate names. So it will appear as two stores.
Okay.
And if there was a wall down the middle on the inside, I don't think we would be having the conversation, but not unfortunately, the two are open to each other. So it is considered one business space by the
Right.
definition of the code.
The plot thickens.
It does. You'll never guess.
Well, yeah, we will.
Well, it's not that there is some precedent for this. I mean, you have car dealerships, for example, that, two different brands in the same building.
Cadillac and Chevrolet or something.
Or even when they're not even related companies, what is it?
Do we?
Toyota and Subaru, I think, or something are together or something.
Do we know how big,
Yeah, Dodge and Kia, okay.
Jim,
So,
the question came up, do we know how big Marshall's sign is? Can you tell us how big Marshall's sign is?
It's gotta be.
Marshall's sign is over what would be
over
permitted
100
if
square feet, isn't
if
it?
it was new today. It is
That's
over.
what
I think that one is over
That's a
100.
pretty massive sign.
Yeah.
That's a
But
big one.
100 square feet, it would meet the code
No,
for a
just
single
curious.
store sign. It's just that.
We were just discussing and trying to figure out what it would look like in relationship, since we have nothing to see yet because they can't.
Well,
I can show you if you
I
don't
can
mind
see,
if I
you can see
approach the board.
where the letters will go, but
You can see down here, it's a small picture, but you can see the
Right.
Marshalls, how
Right.
large that is, and then roughly how large these
Right.
are.
And
So
you've got a
this
much-
is bigger.
you had a much bigger area, okay.
Right.
And just out of curiosity, you're saying you can't come from the existing mall into that unknown store any longer? You have to go outside and come in?
Yeah, you'll have to.
That's correct.
That's
yeah.
right,
Okay.
correct.
It's as if you're going to Modell's or any of the stores on that end, they're gonna be, not connected to the interior mall anymore.
Interesting.
okay,
Quite a change.
yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? If not, is there anyone that wishes to address the application from the Poughkeepsie Plaza Mall? If not, is there a motion to close the public
So
hearing?
moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Item 9, Clover Way LLC at 16 Clover Way. Is there anyone here from Clover Way? No? Okay. All right, we'll go on then to item number 10, Gasland Petroleum, 740 Main Street. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, just state your name for the record.
Matthew Kasevich.
You swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true, complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but let me start out by saying that we are not going to be able to act on this application tonight, and will because the county has not yet responded with their comments. So this will be adjourned to the next meeting, but we can certainly listen to your presentation and ask questions and begin. But I just wanted to warn you that unfortunately the law says we have to wait for the county. So having said that, would you like to explain your application?
Sure. I apologize. The owner was supposed to be here with me tonight, but I don't believe he's here. I guess what we're proposing, I don't know if I submitted the current renderings from suggestion of Sandy, and
okay. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Okay. Now I've got it. Yeah. All right.
okay. So what we're proposing is quite a bit less than what's existing. We'd like to upgrade the gas prices to an LED version and do a combo sign, which is the side-by-side, which is going to be about 28 square feet. And I believe your law only allows 12 square feet in that area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Because it's part of the Arlington district. Yeah.
Okay. So that would be one issue, and then I believe the Sunoco channel letters on the canopy, we made some changes to the Horizon logo. We've eliminated that and made it all blue at your suggestion, and we're going to be asking for a variance, I believe, for the Sunoco letters. They are
on the canopy.
On the canopy, 2 signs total. They would be 18 roughly square feet apiece. And they would be internally illuminated LED backlit channel letters.
Okay. Okay. Okay, this, Lisa, do we have to re-advertise this? This is considerably different than the original proposal.
My take on it is always if it's something that's less than what was proposed, you're within the bounds of what was noticed, because if the public had a concern about the greater that was proposed, they certainly should have less of a concern with the less. And if no one's showing up for the massive signage originally, so I don't think you need to renotice them.
Okay, so we can just proceed. Okay, good. All right, Christine?
No questions at the moment.
Art?
No questions. You are aware, though, on the LED sign, it can only be a certain brightness, right, in the town? You know, the town controls the intensity of that light.
Okay.
You did not know that.
No, I did not. What is the intensity?
I mean, you'd have to clear that with the zoning board administrator, but, you know, they can't be blinding. I mean, I don't know, there's a lumen, there's a.
Yeah, it's in the code.
Okay.
And you should, yeah.
Typically, they're brighter.
Art's right, just call the zoning administrator.
Okay. They can be adjusted. Typically, they're brighter during the day because of the sunlight, and they dim down at night
Right.
to 50%.
Okay,
You
okay.
know what the current specs are? Are they knits?
Yeah, they're probably knits, and I don't know the current specs, but I can provide that.
Okay, that would be helpful for next
Usually, I mean,
meeting.
when we deal with electronic message centers, they're 10,000 nits during the day and 750 at night, which is considerably less.
Okay. All right. All right. It's probably just as well we have to adjourn this because we'll need to digest this, the new. So it looks like the freestanding sign is going to be considerably lower and reduced in area.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. The canopy then is going to be blue, but you want to put how many of the Sunoco's?
Two sets.
Two Sunoco's.
Two Sunoco's.
Okay, on which sides?
So the side facing the street,
Okay,
and then I don't have a direction here, but it would be to the left of the canopy as you're looking at the store from the street.
on the left, so,
East elevation, that would be the east.
right, so people coming from the east would see it. Okay.
Heading west.
Yeah, people on Main Street going west would see it. Yeah, okay. All right.
Jim, actually, to address what you asked me before about re-noticing, I don't think we need to re-notice the public hearing, but since we don't have county comments, we should submit these plans to the county so that they can review the current plans.
And I let them know that there's no plans that we would. No, I let Chanda know that I would resubmit this to the county with their comments with the new rendition.
Okay, okay. Larry, any questions?
No questions on that.
Okay. Paul?
No question.
Tony?
My only question is, so, as I understand it, everything under the existing canopy with all the rainbow NASCAR effect on the canopy, that's all going, it's just gonna be a plain blue canopy with two Sunoco's, one facing north and one facing east.
Correct.
That's all I have.
Okay. Carmen?
And on the pylon sign, you'll still have the price chopper and all of those little blurbs there?
No, they'll be eliminated.
Pardon me?
They will be eliminated.
Oh, they will. I missed that. I'm sorry. Okay. Because, the way it is right now, it was busy, very busy. So,
We're simplifying it a little.
pardon me?
We're simplifying it a little.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the board? Okay, any questions from the audience or comments on the application Gasland Petroleum, 740 Main Street? Okay, seeing none?
Yeah, there's another.
Okay, so we are going to adjourn this to March 12th. So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning this to our next meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay. Thank you very much. We will, the county.
Can I have one? Because I'm going to send it to the county.
Oh, okay. Look, the bottom line is a good thing.
No, I just.
Okay, let's go back to item number 2. Sonia Bahana, 10 Old Mill Drive. Okay, good evening. Okay, if you would both just state your names and be sworn in, please.
Sonia Bahana?
Stephen Force, I'm Sonia's husband.
You swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
I do.
Okay, so,
Apologize, we were late. We're
Okay.
actually
We were
parked,
sitting outside the other door since
Oh.
10 minutes to 6.
sorry.
Sorry about that. Why are you looking to put in an accessory apartment?
Because we've been living in Poughkeepsie area for about 20 years. My kids went to school and they went to college, and now they both have their own lives. They bought their own little houses around the same area. So we really don't want to live there. It's nice, we like it there, but the house is big for us, just the two of us. And we have this apartment that we can just kind of rent it, and that will probably help us with the expenses that the house brings.
Okay. All right. Christine?
I just have one question. I noticed on your application, it says that there's not a certificate of occupancy. Is that because of the year that it was constructed? That's correct, yeah. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know until we went to the town to ask for a permit that this wasn't really, it had really nothing legal per se. Okay. That's it.
Art?
Who's going to occupy the apartment?
I'm sorry?
Who is going to occupy the apartment?
We just, once it's ready and we get the permits and everything, we'll just put it out for rent.
Yeah, we intend to rent it.
It has to be owner occupied, I believe, doesn't it?
The building, residence has to be on.
Yeah. But you're going to continue to live there?
Oh, we live
yes.
upstairs, yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, okay.
Okay. And you said that you originally fitted
I thought
it
they were
out
downstairs.
for you kids to.
Oh, yes, both my kids in their own time live downstairs.
Okay. All right. Larry?
No questions.
Paul?
No question.
Tony?
I have no questions.
Carmen?
No questions.
Okay. If there are no other questions, anyone from the audience wish to address the application at 10 Old Mill Drive? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and sorry about the confusion of
Oh, that's
where
okay.
Not your fault.
we're located.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to Clover Way LLC at 12 Clover Way. Or not?
They know.
Oh, and they're not going to be here.
No, I mean, they know. We talked this afternoon.
Okay, well,
I talked to them. Confirm the meeting.
let's see,
I would just open and adjourn the public hearing so we don't have to re-advertise.
okay, so the public hearing is open. And so is there a motion now to adjourn the public hearing to
The 12th.
Well,
March 12th?
so move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Coozles? Okay, all right. It's too bad, I hate to adjourn things not unnecessarily. Okay, this brings us to the end of our application agenda and public hearings. Do we want to take a recess or launch right into the deliberations?
Let's go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it, okay. All right, going back to the,
Here.
Clover Way. Yes. Yeah, okay, you're on. Okay, is there a motion to reopen the public hearing on Clover Way? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
My apologies.
That's very neat over there.
Okay. All right, so if you just state your name for the record and be sworn in.
Sure, my name is Neil Alexander. I'm a partner at the law firm of Cuddy and Fader, and my apologies again for being late.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm testimony provided tonight will be true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, so I'm sure there are going to be a bunch of questions, but probably you can start by just, I guess, explaining the situation and what you are asking us to do.
No problem. I'm just going to let my client, who was hedging as well, know that we started. So they may or may not get here. So Clover Way was acquired by this LLC, the Baxter family, back in 2008. When they acquired it at that time and they had their walkthroughs and in interacting with the town, there were 8 units there across 3 different buildings on the property that if you've received our submission of December 20th, there's a survey. It's an odd-shaped piece of property. As you can tell, it's about 5 acres in the R4A zone. And there are 3 buildings on there. Essentially, there are 8 multifamily units across those 3 buildings, with 4 in the 2.5-story brick structure, another 2 in the 1.5-story wood frame, and then also at the rear, there's also 2 units in that wood frame structure as well. When they acquired it, there were 8 units in there. It has been operated for 8 units. They went to do some additional work to improve the buildings, and when they sought a CO for the work that they had completed through the building department, they were advised that there shouldn't be 8 units in that across those 3 buildings. A lot of go ahead, Chairman, if you wanted to interject.
No.
A lot of work with the assessor's office and looking through that. What we were able to best understand is that 7 units have been assessed on that property forever. 4 units in the main structure, 2 in one structure, and 1 in the third structure. A little unclear as to which one was a 2 and which one was a 1. In any event, we sat down and went through the code, and we took a look at the possible ways to essentially legalize the 8 units that are out there. And that's how we filed the application that we put in front of you to expand a legally non-conforming use. The other couple of wrinkles about this property that I think are worth noting is it's been upzoned twice. In the past 2 code changes, it was upzoned both times. Although the multifamily use goes back to the 70s on this property, per the assessor's records. And the other interesting wrinkle is in 2004, although it was never built, a similar permit application was made. And that actually involved new construction. And that was to add and expand the front building by about 50% or so, to add another unit, and it would have been the same 8 or 9 even units. It was somewhat unclear from the way the approval was done. So what we're really looking to do here is take an existing multifamily use that's been multifamily since, as far as we all know, keep the 8 units that have been there since my client bought the property over a decade ago, and be able to get essentially a CO for the $30,000 plus that they spent on upgrading things that they'd been asked to do out on the property. And that's the essence of it.
Okay.
Here comes Mr. Baxter, so.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
full as
Again,
well, Eric. I mistimed it too.
Right. So if you just state your name and be sworn in, please.
Eric Baxter, owner of the property.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony provided tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay. So your attorney gave us a quick overview, and because of the kind of complexity of this, I know you've been working with people in the building department and zoning and with our attorney. And I've asked our attorney to essentially draft a kind of resolution and some findings. So, and when we come to and I think those have been circulated to board members, right?
They were sent by email today. I'm not sure if everyone saw them.
Yeah, okay. I don't, do you want to add anything to,
No, the only thing, I mean, we went through the town records. We pulled the assessor's cards back from the beginning of time, and it's unclear when the additional uses came in. What's not up for debate is that the 4 units in the larger structure are lawful non-conforming. And what is up for debate and is still debated between the applicant is whether there are 7 lawful units on the property or only 6. The deputy zoning administrator recently took the position that only 6 were authorized. But we have the ZBA decision in 2004, which is in essence premised upon the idea that there were 8 lawful because it allowed for a 9th unit. So there seems to have been some prior determination by the town that there may have been 8 lawful at that time, although those records aren't entirely clear either. So this is really an opportunity for the town to clean up the record so that going forward there will be no debate that there are 8 lawful units on this property.
okay. In reading through many of these materials, I just have a couple of things that might be germane here. And one is that the original buildings were all built in, I believe, 1851. So they're really kind of historic structures. And if you've been out there, you know they're pretty well maintained. The other thing is that I help the records from the 2004 decision are sketchy, to put it mildly. There's no justification, there's no findings, there's not even really clear what the decision was. So that's no help. We asked around to see if by chance there was anybody that might have been at that meeting. And unfortunately, we're all too young.
Well, actually, Betty was at that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Betty was at that meeting.
Betty, what? Okay.
Yes, and she said she thought at that time that they were 8 units and that they were well maintained, but that's all she remembers about the discussion. And I asked her specifically as to whether there was any discussion as to whether they were legal. There was a discussion as to whether there were 8 legal units or anything like that, and she didn't remember any discussion like that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Christine, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Art?
No, I'm familiar with the property. In fact, my parents used to live in the carriage house. I don't have a problem with what's going on.
Okay.
It's out of sight, and it's back there. It's well maintained, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I would also note that in this application, I think you've seen, and it's clearly spelled out in the resolution that Lisa drafted, that the current 8 units represents the maximum development of this property. This is it. None of the footprints of the building are being changed. It's basically what you see there now is what it will be, and that's clearly laid out in this resolution. Larry?
No question.
Paul?
Has it been assessed for 8 apartments some period of time?
Since the 1970s.
Since the 70s? Okay, that's all.
Tony?
No questions.
Okay. Carmen?
And are they currently occupied?
Yeah, they've been occupied since we've owned it in 2008.
Right. You have a full house. I mean,
Correct.
they're all, okay. It's a beautiful piece of property.
It is.
It's very, very nice.
I think it was the owner of the president of Central Hudson's estate.
Right.
Oh,
And when you renovate, I mean, that's difficult for the occupants, right?
Correct. We've renovated. We've already renovated in the past, here and there as tenants move in and out, kind of
It works.
refurbish them. Correct.
Somehow it works, okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
okay. If there are no other questions from the board, anyone from the audience wishes to address the application at 12 Clover Way? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. This, interesting case, and I'd never been back there, I had no idea it existed.
Have you ever been back?
Need to go inside, go down in the basement. Basement's got big timbers, right, holding the.
It's
massive
but it's
timbers.
short though.
It is.
Short ceiling. Yeah.
Okay.
Massive.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Okay, now we are at the end of the agenda. And, okay, so going back to the top, item number 1, Dr. Satish Modi, 23 Davis Avenue, a variance to allow the construction of a building having a rear yard setback of 10 feet where 20 feet is required. The planning board has already dealt with the environmental issues and issued a negative declaration. And so I move that the board adopt as findings the answer to the area variance questions on pages 2 and 3 of the application. Yeah, okay. So is it, so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. Any discussion? I think this one's pretty straightforward. Nobody seems to have any objection. So Christine, do you want to make the motion on this one?
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 2. This decision is based...
One.
So sorry. On item number 1, this decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So move.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Not? Let's see, and Paul is recusing himself, so Phyllis will be a voting member. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And one recusal, but the alternate voted. Okay, so item 1 is approved. Number 2, Sonia Bahana. Oh, okay, let's see.
Verizon and then Poughkeepsie.
Okay, let's see, Verizon, okay. Okay, okay, item number 6, Verizon, 661 Dutchess Turnpike. A variance to allow the installation of 2 additional wall signs where only 1 wall sign is allowed. This is an unlisted action. They did fill out an EAF on this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I move that the zoning board declare itself lead agency for the purposes of the environmental review of the application at 661 Dutchess Turnpike.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I further move that based on the information submitted by the applicant, that the, in a EAF short form, that the board finds that the proposed action at 661 Dutchess Turnpike will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Okay. So I think the general agreement is that we'll approve the proposed wall sign on the
East side.
but only that one and not the applicant, okay. So, okay, I move that the board adopt as findings the following. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, the board finds that since this is a commercial district, the addition of a one wall sign on the east side will produce no undesirable change. It's consistent with signage of other buildings. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method other than an area variance, the board finds that only a sign on the west side will serve to adequately
East side.
east side will adequately notify people on both Burnett Boulevard and Route 44 of the location of this store. The board further finds that any sign, any wall sign on the west side would be very difficult to see and would serve no useful purpose. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. The variance is substantial in the sense that it doubles the number of wall signs. It is not substantial in the sense that each of the signs is within the code requirements and are consistent with other signage of buildings in the neighborhood. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, the board finds there will be no impact on the environment. And 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created in the sense that they're asking to put up an additional wall sign. It's not self-created in the sense that they occupy a unique location that requires location and traffic situation that they need to address. So I move those as the findings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. So, Art, do you want to do number 6?
Sure. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item 6. The decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Okay. There's no further discussion. Let's see, was this second? Was there just
Nobody seconded.
No, Steve just did.
Okay. All right. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor of, let's see, now did the motion, did we make it clear that it's just the one wall?
One sign.
Okay.
East side only.
Okay.
Side
All right.
East
Good.
side only.
All right. All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approved 7-0.
Thank you.
Okay. And let's see. So this, we need what, the Poughkeepsie Plaza? All right. Number 8. Okay. Okay, so item number 8, a variance to allow a second wall sign of 100 square feet for a single tenant where only one wall sign is allowed. This is an unlisted action, and EA environmental assessment form, short form, has been filed. I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agency for the purposes of the environmental review of the application at the Poughkeepsie Plaza Mall.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I further move that based on the information submitted by the applicant in the EAF short form, that the board finds that the proposed action will have no significant impact on the environment. So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now, on the motion itself, again, I would move that the board adopt as findings the answers to the 5 questions, and it's found in a letter dated January 25th, 2018, signed by Martin Deasing, the architect for the project. So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on this? Other than to speculate who it might be?
Mystery.
I think we all have some ideas, but, okay. All right. Okay. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 8. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts its findings as set forth by the chair, as just adopted. And so move.
Second. Second.
Yeah.
It's limited to 100 square feet.
Yes, in the, let's see, I can read it. A variance relief from 210-128C3, which permits only.
Right, so the application is just for an extra sign. I'd just like to have that
Okay.
limited to 100 square feet.
Okay, we can certainly add as a condition that so the approval of the variance is subject to the following conditions, that each sign be no more than 100 square feet in area. Okay.
Well, it would just be the second one, because the first one's limited that way anyway, right?
Right. So it makes it clear that what the size can be. All right. Which is, I think they stipulated that in here anyway. Okay. So there's a second?
Second.
Yes.
Okay. If there's no further discussion on item number 8, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, item 8 is approved, 7-0. Okay. All right. And let's see. Okay, so we might as well do number 9. Okay. What did I do with number 9? Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, this is a permit to legalize an existing non-conforming use by permitting the expansion of the lawful non-conforming multifamily use to include a total of 8 dwelling units, all of which are presently existing. And as I said, because of the complexity of this, I knew that I would never be able to come up with a set of findings, and so Lisa very kindly, I hope it didn't take up too much of your weekend. I laid this on her last Friday. So let me, this will serve as both the findings and the resolution. Whereas the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals has received an application from Clover Way LLC for property located at 12 Clover Way, tax lot number, so on, for relief from Town Code 210-134A1 to allow the expansion of a non-conforming use to legalize an existing non-conforming use of 8 dwelling units, all of which are presently existing. And whereas the project site is located in the residence single-family 4-acre district, and whereas the site presently contains 3 separate structures being used for residential purposes, all of which pre-exist the enactment of the zoning code of the town, and whereas one of the structures on the site presently contains 4 dwelling units and contained such units prior to the enactment of the zoning code of the town, making the multifamily use a lawful non-conforming use, and whereas 2 other structures on the property, each originally utilized as single-family dwellings, but were converted to 2-family dwellings at some point in the past, at least 40 years ago, and have been so used continuously for such use since that time, and have been assessed as 2-family units since that time. And whereas it cannot be determined from the town records whether either of the conversions from single-family to 2-family use predated the enactment of the zoning code of the town, and therefore is a lawful non-conforming use. And whereas at a meeting of the ZBA held on November 8, 2004, the ZBA granted an application submitted by the then owner of the property under the same code section as the current application to permit the expansion of a non-conforming use to allow one of the 2-family structures to be converted to a 3-family structure. And whereas the materials before the ZBA included the fact that there were a total of 8 residential dwelling units on the property and authorized the construction of a 9th dwelling unit on the property, and whereas in arriving at that decision, the ZBA included the gross square footage of all 8 of the then existing residential units and permitted an expansion of the non-conforming use by 25% of that total amount. And whereas the implicit in the ZBA's decision was a finding that the existing 8 units were all lawful, since Section 210-134 begins with the language that, quote, the legally non-conforming use of a structure may be continued, unquote. And whereas the 9th dwelling unit was never built, and whereas the code permits the ZBA to, quote, hear and decide applications for a permit for an expansion of a non-conforming use, unquote, and whereas the code further permits a one-time expansion of a non-conforming use of up to 25% of the gross floor area presently being lawfully utilized for the non-conforming use, and whereas although a prior application was granted for the expansion of the non-conforming use, and whereas the applicant is seeking to formally legalize the existing 8 dwelling units on the property and clear any cloud from the right to continue to use these dwelling units, and whereas the applicant is not seeking permission to construct the previously approved 9th unit, and it will agree to a condition that no more than the presently existing 8 units will exist on the property, and whereas the granting of the requested permit is an unlisted action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the ZBA determined that an uncoordinated review is appropriate for this matter and declare its intent to be lead agency, and whereas the ZBA determined that the proposed action would not have a significant environmental impact and therefore issued a negative declaration, and whereas pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, the matter was referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development and declared the application to be a matter of local concern, and whereas after due and proper notice, a public hearing was held on this matter on February 12, 2018, during which time all who wished to speak were heard, and whereas a motion was made and seconded to grant the requested permit, now therefore be it resolved. The following precatory, that's a Scrabble word. Paragraphs are incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. 2, the present application to permit the one-time expansion of a non-conforming use is permitted since the proper application for a 9th unit, which was granted, was never acted upon. 3, this application shall constitute the one-time permitted expansion of a non-conforming use, and no further applications under this section will be permitted for this property. 4, the ZBA hereby grants the application of Clover Way LLC for property located at 12 Clover Way, tax lot number, so on, for relief from Town Code Section 210, Article 134A1, to allow the expansion of a non-conforming use to legalize an existing non-conforming use of 8 dwelling units, all of which are presently existing, upon the condition that no additional dwelling units be permitted on this property. So move.
We need to do the EAF.
Do the environmental, okay. So a short form EAF has been submitted, so I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agency for purposes of review of the application at 12 Clover Way.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I further move that based on the information submitted on the EAF short form, the ZBA finds that the proposed action at 12 Clover Way will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Then I move the resolution.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, item number 9 is approved, 7-0. Okay. Let's see, that brings us back to item number 2. Okay. Sonia Bahana, 10 Old Mill Drive, special permit to legalize an existing, is this the one that's existing? Yes, an existing accessory apartment within an existing single-family dwelling. Okay, this is an unlisted action, so I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agency for the purpose of the review of the proposal at 10 Old Mill Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there's an EAF short form that's been submitted, so I move that the ZBA declare itself, ZBA finds that based on the information submitted by the applicant in an EAF short form, that the proposed action at 10 Mill Drive will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Jim, for purposes of findings, if you want to use the applicant's answers to the I think that's fine, with the exception of they've designated the place, the apartment as apartment 2, and I think it probably should have, since I don't know if the other part's an apartment, or it should have some other designation for 911, which our standard language is just in conformance with.
Okay. We could actually change that right now.
We could.
How do they usually do that?
Unit
Did they call
B.
it one?
B.
Call it
Unit
10?
B.
10B?
B.
Okay, so we will amend the answer to question 10 to read, it'll be 10B Old Mill Drive. Okay. Do we then have to also do the general conditions for a special permit? I mean, most of them don't apply.
Right, because the apartment's been existing for,
Yeah,
I think if the board had any concerns with the applicability of any particular one, it would be worthwhile adjusting, but I don't know that you need to go through all the ones that don't apply.
yeah, okay. All right, so as findings, I move that the board find that the application meets the general conditions for a special permit listed in paragraph 149. Almost all of these don't apply to a residential use. The board further adopts as findings the answers to the specific conditions for a special use permit for an accessory apartment that are submitted by the applicant on pages 2 and 3 of the application. So move.
If I could make one amendment to that also, but it's,
Okay.
10B is fine, except that I would like to say, or such other designation as may be required by emergency services. On the off chance they don't want a 10B or they want some other designation, I would hate the applicant to
Okay,
have to come back solely for that. So if
Okay, or 10B Old Mill Drive,
such other
or
designation as may be
other-
required by emergency services.
Okay, so with that, that amendment, I move that the board adopt these as findings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, Larry, you want to do the motion for the special use permit?
Number 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance
No, special use.
for a special
Use
use
permit.
permit.
Next
I move that the
page.
board approve the request for a special use permit set forth in item number 2. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in a public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Second.
Okay, if there's no further questions or discussion on item number 2, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay, item number 2 is approved 7-0. Okay, item number 3, Peter Fella II, 67 Pleasant Ridge Drive, a special use permit to allow the construction of an accessory apartment in an existing single-family structure. Okay, again, this is an unlisted action. We've asked them to fill out a short form. So I move the ZBA declare itself lead agency for the purpose of the environmental review at 67 Pleasant Ridge Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I further move that the ZBA finds that based on the information submitted by the applicant, that the proposed action at 67 Pleasant Ridge Drive will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think here again, as findings, I move that the board find that the general requirements listed in paragraph 149 have been met by this application or are not applicable to an accessory apartment, particularly one in which the physical footprint doesn't change. I further move that we adopt as findings to the questions listed in paragraph 47, dealing specifically with accessory apartments, that we adopt the answers to the questions submitted by the applicant on pages 2 and 3, with the amendment that on question 4, the month and year the apartment was constructed, that we simply clarify that answer by stating that an older apartment had been removed before the present owner bought the house, and that the apartment in this application has not yet been constructed. And further, that in item number 9, the current private septic system was approved for a 4-bedroom house, and when the construction is completed, the house at 67 Pleasant Ridge Drive will have 4 bedrooms. Okay, with those.
Well,
You gotta do the
because
address?
they're going to change one of the bedrooms to a den.
Yeah, but the total structure will still remain 4 bedrooms, and that's what the septic system was approved for.
Do we care that if they sell the house, they could go back to a 5th bedroom?
That would be a matter then of the
Department of Health?
the CO, when they came in at the sale.
Okay.
But I think that would be between the Department of Health and the owner. Okay, well,
You need to mention the address again.
okay, let's also add that same phrase, it'd be 67B, or, let's see, what, is any other designation approved by the, but not, what, I've forgotten just how you said it, the
Services.
emergency, the county emergency response. Okay, all right, so with those,
She has it on.
she has it on there, but I think we'll just add that phrase in case, they don't like the A, B, or whatever it is. Okay, so I move those as the findings. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Let's see, I guess, Paul, it's to you.
I move to approve the request for special use permit set forth in item number 3. Decisions based upon a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony gathered during the public hearing, results of site visits by board members, and that it meets the criterion set forth in the town code. We didn't set any additions, did we?
No.
No.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, item number 3, there's a motion made and seconded to approve. There's no other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Item number 3 is approved. Item number 4, Joshua Matthews, 174 Wilbur Boulevard, a variance to allow construction of an addition to a single-family structure located 10 feet from the side lot line where 20 feet is required. It's a type 2 action, so there's no environmental review that's needed. Okay. In terms of findings, okay, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood, the board finds that there will be no change in the character of the neighborhood. We note that that small additions and decks are commonly found in that part of the town. Whether the benefit sought can be achieved by some other method, the board finds that the location of the addition is required by the internal reconfiguration of the structure. The board further notes that the addition will be will follow the same sideline as the existing structure, let's see whether whether the variance is substantial. The board notes that the addition is actually quite small. For whether the proposed variance will have an adverse impact on the physical conditions, the board finds that there will be no, a very small, if any, impact on the environmental conditions. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, it's self-created in the sense that they've decided they would add an addition. It's not self-created in the sense that they were very limited in where this addition could be located. Okay, so I move those as the findings.
Second.
Okay, any changes or additions? All right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. So let's see, Tony, do you want to motion?
I move that the board approve the request for the area variance set forth in item number 4. Is 4? Yes. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and the results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings 1 through 5 as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Second.
Okay. There's no further discussion on item number 4. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, item 4 approved 7-0. All right. Item number 5, determined fitness. 668 Dutchess Turnpike. This is a variance to allow the installation of a sign of 70.9 square feet where a sign of 50 square feet is allowed. This is an unlisted action, so I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agency for the purpose of the environmental review of the proposal at 668 Dutchess Turnpike.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I further move that the ZBA finds, based on the information submitted by the applicant and a short form EAF, that the proposed action at 668 Dutchess Turnpike will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Let's see. In okay.
He made an application for an interpretation also, but is there a need for an interpretation of anything? Or was it just on how to measure the sign?
That was a discussion that I had with the zoning administrator. Okay, and she found that the measurements as submitted here are not, I mean.
And that's also what's reflected in the denial letter. It says the 70.9 feet, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, nobody is, at least yet, or may never challenge that interpretation, so.
I don't think anyone is coming.
I think it just
Other than us.
stands as it is, yeah, okay. So, I move that the board adopt as findings the answers and comments submitted by the applicant on pages 2 and 3 of the application. This would be the answers to the questions 1 through 5. Okay. Okay, any discussion on this?
I have to go back to the question Paul asked, the DF. Why does he need it? It's a pretty big sign, it's pretty close to the road, branding, okay. I mean, this guy's been before us a lot of times. He knows he should have brought other size renditions in. And, he's stating the signs that are out in Knoxon Road and all over the place, that's why they need this sign this big. I think being this close to the road, I think they can get away with determined fitness without the DF logo. I just think it's
not clear, they have a pylon sign.
Got a pylon sign besides, right next to it. Yeah. I think it's a little overkill.
Other than it matches the facade that they built. It fits nicely on the facade.
Maybe the facade should be lower and just allow for determined fitness without the DF. The pylon sign seems to be a lot more advantageous to people knowing where determined fitness is and when to turn.
Exactly.
To enter that, and that can be a kind of a dicey area to turn. If you're relying on looking at the facade to determine where you're going to turn,
you're in trouble.
You're going to be creating a dangerous situation.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. So maybe the facade should not have been built quite as tall. Determined fitness is adequate, and the pylon sign should be the real determining factor.
Does the facade change where you measure the roof line?
That one I don't know.
I don't know, is it considered a new roof line? I don't know.
Isn't a roof something that covers a structure?
Right, because, so
the facade is above the roof line.
Right.
Going back to the point with the other,
Is that even a legitimate, is that too tall?
Well, I think the facade could be as tall as it wants. My question is whether the sign just because there's a facade there, whether it can exceed.
Right, the sign should probably stop at the red line along the top of the roof line.
Well, I've assumed that they provided this plans to the zoning administrator, who faulted them only for a large sign and not a sign above the roof line. So, sorry. So I don't know that there's been a determination made that whether the facade is above the roof line or not, but I do know they came in for site plan approval with the planning board, and the planning, sorry.
why don't we just deal with what's immediately before us? It looks like determined fitness fits within the 100 square.
No, it's only 50.
50 square, oh.
79.
Okay.
It's still a little.
It's just a little over. If you just work
Right,
with
but if they got rid of the logo, it would be more acceptable to me.
without the logo.
I mean,
What is the objection to the logo?
Yeah, I was gonna.
why do they need it?
Pardon me?
Why do they need it? It's a bigger sign. Why do they need a bigger sign for where they are? They're right on the road. They've already got a pylon sign right next to it.
Yeah, but a lot of places have the logo. I mean,
That's fine. I don't like it. I'm gonna vote against it.
I don't have a problem with the logo. Wait a minute.
That big, and that is a big building.
Yeah.
The building's not the size of the building, it's the size of the facade. The sign's not on the building, the sign's on the facade.
And it fits nicely above the, where it extends above the building, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It fits nicely in
Above
the
the roof
facade
line.
that they built.
Well,
Sign.
Exactly.
Well, no, come on, really. This is a large building. No two
What
ways
they
about
approved
it.
and what we approved are different things.
And
That looks pretty nice too.
You're right, it does. It's fine. In my opinion, that's fine. That's more than
County,
adequate.
that was the back of local concern.
Yes.
yes, yeah. I mean, another factor here is that very few people are going to see this. So in a sense, what's the harm?
So why should we make such a large exception?
Exactly.
And the other thing is, if you just fold that over, what you're doing is you're eliminating a lot of dead space, it's, I think it's aesthetically more pleasing just with the name Determined Fitness and keeping a lower profile on that building. It conforms more to the rest of the building.
Well, that's what they want with the area that we grant.
Right.
So if the emblem is important to them, they can modify it, right? I mean, we're just.
I'm not sure whether they received their site plan approval yet or not. They did? Okay.
Did. I asked Eric.
So if they wanted to change the height of the facade, they'd have to go back
No,
and.
not the height of the facade. I mean, they can, whatever area variance we grant them, they can make the sign, if they want.
Make it fit.
DF is important to them, they can make it fit. Right?
So, what, you're proposing the,
Well, we're only gonna grant a number of square feet. We're not granting
right,
what the
and,
sign looks like.
right, and the application is for
70.9
square feet.
So the emblem is, what did I say?
16.
16 square feet?
Yeah, it's 4 feet by 4 feet.
So we're willing to grant 54 square feet, or at least a few of us are. Willing to grant 54 square feet for 4 square foot variance.
And again, this thing's right on top of the road.
Yeah, with the pylon, I'm not really clear the necessity for that.
And, it's one thing I don't know what time you went there, but, it's, that place is just, that's a horror to get in and out of, to begin with, it's, to turn into there and to negotiate coming out of there, if reading that sign up on that facade is gonna make people, then it's just gonna be more distracting. The pylon sign should be.
Right, 'cause everybody's racing to get up there where the road narrows.
Yeah.
They're fighting for position.
No, I think we're all agreed that, as a practical matter, it's the pylon sign that people are gonna be looking for and figuring out how they're gonna make the turn. The application, what we're voting on is, the sign that's up there, the wall sign.
Supposed to grant the minimum, right? That's supposed to look at the minimum.
Well, yeah, and I just, this doesn't bother me, as I said, in part because it's a big building.
Yeah, but the sign is not on the building, the sign is on the facade, and it's a small facade. If it was across the top of the building, I'd agree with you. But it's not. It's on that little structure.
But it's a part of the building. I mean, it looks like
Doesn't
it's.
matter. Not that big. It's not the building. It's just like looking at Poughkeepsie Plaza, If you look at the size of that facade versus that one, how big a sign do you need? But see what happens. It is what it is.
Okay.
What do you mean, like, it was for branding? If it was a national company and that was they had some kind of logo, but
This is just some
company of
local
one.
that wants to do it. And again, it's a tough spot.
Okay.
We're gonna be looking up at that, and who knows what's gonna happen when they hit that merge area. I don't know. I'm not voted.
Okay. All right, so let's see, we've done the environmental, so, let's see, Carmen, is it your turn? So you want to just make the motion here?
Do we have to vote on the primary sign and/or the logo? Do we have to vote twice?
All one.
Yeah, it's all one, I mean,
All one.
yeah,
You're voting on the
We're just
square
voting
footage.
on the area.
Just on the area one,
yeah.
okay. All
I
right.
think that a number of people are only gonna agree to a 4.9.
Increase.
Okay, I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 5. Okay. And this decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Okay. So you're moving that? Okay, I will second it. Okay. So, I think, if there's no further discussion, I think we better kind of do this as a roll call vote so that we know.
Christine?
Aye.
Art?
No.
Jim?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Paul?
Nay?
Tony?
Nay?
Carmen?
Aye.
So, 4 to 3.
Okay, so it's approved 4 to 3. Okay?
Can we run through those again?
Go ahead, Christine, yay, yes, or no, Jim, yes, Larry, yes, Paul, no, Tony, no, and Carmen, yes.
Okay, then this brings us to item
4-3.
7.
4-3.
Okay, Mel and Company, 48 Vassar Road. And, okay, so this would involve, 2 variances. One, a freestanding sign to be placed on an existing base approximately 5 feet from the property line where 10 feet is required. And 2, a wall sign of 45 square feet on the north side of the building, which does not face a public road. And the third provision has been withdrawn by the applicant.
Well,
'Cause-
it depends on how you vote on the,
Oh, okay.
They're only withdrawing that, sign if
They get the.
don't approve
so
this.
I suggest that you take the freestanding sign first.
Okay. Okay, all right. So we'll do this as 2 separate, votes, okay. All right, it's an unlisted action, so, I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agent for the purposes of evaluating the application at 48 Vassar Road.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I further move that the ZBA, based on the information submitted by the applicant in an EAF short form, that the board finds that the proposed action at 48 Vassar Road will have no significant impact on the environment.
I'd like to make a comment on that.
Yeah?
My objection to the pylon one is I think that it's unsafe. I think it's too close to the highway, so I'm not clear that.
I think
Okay.
also they've determined, I think the spot that it is, I'm just saying for conversations, I think they need a variance where it is. I don't think they have enough frontage where it was.
That,
Sorry.
wait,
Where the sign was, I don't think it's, I think one of the questions that zoning administrator had for them, it wasn't, didn't have enough, the setback was incorrect. They'd probably have to come back.
I don't remember the pylon.
Is that what you're asking?
well, that's the
sorry.
variance they're asking.
What they're asking for.
Oh, I'm.
And just in the, I think that there is
Item 7.
Oh, I'm sorry.
an environmental impact because it's unsafe. That's so.
Okay.
That's.
Okay, so you're essentially voting no on the
On the-
environmental determinant. Okay, that's fine. Okay, but the motion is the finding of no significant impact. Okay, so that's the motion that I made, and was there a second to it?
Second.
Okay, so on that motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And
Nay.
nay, okay. So that part of it is 6-1. Okay, all right, now on, so, let's see. Let's see, I'll do this one because we need to keep, well, okay. All right, I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 7, specifically the request for a variance to allow a freestanding sign to be placed on an existing base approximately 5 feet from the property line where 10 feet is required. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts its findings. The findings as follows. One, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood. The board finds that there will be no undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. The building was previously used by a bank, which was a very similar use, and the applicant is seeking to simply continue the use of a previously existing sign. 2, whether the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The board finds that a variance is required if the applicant is to reuse the existing sign base and wiring. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. The board finds that the variance is it requires a distance of only 5 feet where 10 feet is required. But the board also finds that there's no new use, it simply continues the use of an older sign. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions. Again, the board finds that the use of the construction of a new freestanding sign in this location will have no new impact over the existing use. And 5, whether the difficulty is self-created in the sense that they wish to put up a freestanding sign. It's not self-created in the sense that the base is in the location determined by the previous owner. Okay. All right, let's see. So as amended, okay, so move. Okay, so now so is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we're voting now on whether or not to allow a freestanding sign on the base that was left by the bank. Okay, discussion.
We're just voting on the freestanding.
Just the freestanding sign, yes.
And I think it's too close to the highway. I think it's unsafe.
Okay.
And I think that they just need to cut into the pavement and they can move the pedestal to where it's allowed.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I would imagine, but I have no evidence, that when the bank built it, it had to have DOT approval because it's right on 376.
That could be,
Okay.
but DOT approved traffic circles, all sorts of things.
Okay, fair enough.
If you look at some of the pictures that they provided in the color shots, shows that the main plaza sign, monument sign, in the color, it's in, I don't know which page it is, but it's in the colored shots, it's in this packet.
Yeah.
The one that, it has two legs on it, and it's a large monument sign. That sign also appears to be less than 10 feet from the curbing, probably about the same 5 feet.
Citizens Bank?
I mean,
yeah.
There's no, we're not talking about that sign, but it doesn't appear that that's any different than what the Chase situation was.
Right, right.
And the fact that looks like that that existing base is, it's only near an exit, that it's far enough down that it doesn't look like it's going to be a deterrent to vision.
Yeah, I know when I was out there, I don't remember having any trouble getting out there, even though there was a huge snow pile there.
I can tell you what, I used to bank at that bank for a bajillion years, maybe not quite that long, but and I only lived down the road from there, and I can never remember exiting that. And that's the way Stewart's wasn't there previously, so you always used to exit there. There was no cutting through.
Yeah,
I never remember having an issue getting out.
Yeah.
So it's actually gone in my memory. I'm looking at that thing and I'm saying, that was there. But, you know, there's not that big a pile of snow there now. It's, so I don't have an issue with it, because I think the other one's just as close to the road.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments? Okay, so on this, the motion before us now is to approve the freestanding sign. Okay, it's been seconded. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
And there are no recusals.
So that's 6-1?
So that 6-1 to approve the freestanding sign. So as the applicant indicated, then they will not pursue, they will withdraw the request for approval of the wall sign on the east side, facing the road. So, okay, that leaves the wall. Okay, so now I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 7, specifically a variance to allow a wall sign of 45 square feet on the north side of the building, which does not face a public road. Okay, this decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and the results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts as findings the following. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood, the board finds that this is an existing mall with many different buildings, and all of them have signs over their front doors. 2, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method other than the area variance. The board finds that in order to place a sign identifying both the building and the location of the front door, that there must be a wall sign on the north side of the building. The board further finds that having a sign facing, not facing a public road is of minor consequence here, because it does face the interior parking area of the mall. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. It's substantial in the sense that the code prohibits signs that do not. Actually, it doesn't. The way the code is worded, it permits signs that face public roads. Okay. Okay. The area variance is substantial, but it's in keeping with the mall and the commercial area. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions, the board finds that there will be no such adverse impact. And 5, whether the difficulty is self-created, the board notes that the previous tenant in the building also had a sign in exactly the same location. And the applicant wishes to change the wording of the sign. Okay. Okay, with those as findings, and there are no conditions, so move.
Actually, do you mind making a condition that they not utilize their permitted sign facing the highway?
Oh, okay.
Although you described it as withdrawing the application, they're entitled to put one there.
Right, okay. The approval of this variance is subject to the following conditions. The applicant will not seek approval or install a wall sign on the east side of the building.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion now is to approve the wall sign over the front door. That would be on the north side of the building. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. There's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay, so the front door wall sign is approved 7-0. All right, and the remaining item 10 has been adjourned. Okay, there's no new business before us. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are adjourned.